Yeehaw! It's the Sound Alchemist here with my Reckoner.
Gershwan.
And the reason why I sound like this is because I just touched down from Texas, so I got a little bit of twang in my voice. And today, we're here to answer more questions in another for the greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. Also, if you enjoy the channel and you want to support, you can hit us up with a super thanks. If you do, you could ask us any question you want and we will answer it in the next episode. You will basically lead the next greater WAAAGH, which is what?
Sir Binder Bintine has done. His question is, what are your opinions on the Warhammer 40K role-playing game? Does it represent the vibe of the universe, or would another system work just as well?
That's a really good question because it's something that is newer to like 40K gamers now.
Right.
Back in the day, we didn't have that. Like 5th edition, 6th edition, like Wrath and Glory just came out. I think, what was it, 9th?
I believe it was towards like the end of 8th or maybe middle of 9th.
Yeah.
So it's pretty new because 8th edition is when Warhammer 40K like became this new big thing with like the Primaris Marines, Warhammer Plus being a thing, and just Warhammer community being more open to its participants.
And the cool thing about Warhammer 40K as a role-playing game is that if you are the dungeon master, you have a super rich world to put your, team. Because usually it's acolytes, right?
Yeah, acolytes or some type of imperial followers.
Yeah, you put them in pretty much like any type of environment you want. So I would even argue it's as big as Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah, D&D gives you a lot of options, and you have the sandbox of 40K to play with. The only weird thing that this baffles me is you have the models already for Warhammer 40K, but when you're playing Wrath and Glory, it's completely theater of the mind.
That's annoying. I think that's one of the things that I wonder what the team was thinking when they did that. Because like, why wouldn't you want to kit bash your own like acolyte or your own like whatever it is with an actual model? And I wonder if it's just because GW didn't want that to interfere with like the collecting, but like it makes sense to do it,
right? Like, why not force, but like get people to buy models?
Yeah,
it just doesn't make any sense. You could easily make like the Age of Sigmar Warcry stuff into your games, or if you already have like a Warhammer army and models and terrain, use that. Like, you're the dungeon master, you have the ability to kind of twist and make things your own, kind of like in D&D. Use what you have at your disposal, even if the rules don't really allow it or account for it. Just go ahead and do it anyway, because you'll have more fun that way, trust me.
Yeah. The cool thing about Wrath and Glory is it does a really good job of showcasing the theme of what Warhammer 40K is, that grim darkness.
Yes.
I think one of the intro like guided thingies, I forget what they're called, but like the one where like it comes in a book, it's like a starter thing. It has the team landing on a what is it called? Like a cemetery world. So like it's giant monoliths, the dead. You're dealing with, I think, like Nurgle stuff. It's really, really badass and super like grim dark, kind of macabre.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you're into like D&D, like the whole Crypt of Abaddon, you could really have a nice theme or nice underlying tones to just put into Wrath and Glory. So yeah, easily the two play styles of D&D and the role play aspects of Wrath and Glory, they mesh perfectly well.
Yeah. In the future, if we can ever get enough people to play, it'll be fun to do a Wrath and Glory game.
Which is funny because we've played D&D with a Warhammer twist to it.
Because D&D is also just better, like the mechanics of the D&D game as opposed to Wrath and Glory. Because again, theater of the mind. That's just why.
Yeah.
Good question though, and thank you for the super thanks. Next one.
This one is by Swanson12. Consider that the Primarchs have been traditionally known to body greater demons. If Vashtorr is currently a greater demon, is it entirely possible that Perturabo is at the power level or more powerful than Vashtorr? Would it be weird for a demon Primarch to pledge himself for somebody that's weaker than he is?
So we don't really know, because power scale is difficult with named characters, right?
Yes.
However, would it be weird? Yeah, of course.
but not completely out of the picture. Because even though he's weaker, he can give the gifts of the Forge for Perturabo, which could strengthen the whole crusade or war efforts.
And that's why it would be really awesome if GW did something with Perturabo and Vashtorr, because then it's almost like diplomacy, right?
Yeah.
It makes me think of all of the back and forth that you saw on like Game of Thrones.
Exactly.
With like the houses trying to make deals, and it's like, sure, I'm a weaker house, but you have more money, that kind of thing. So it's the same thing with Perturabo and Vashtorr, where it's like, sure, you're weaker than me, but you got these machines and this demonic stuff you can bring out.
So yeah, that's not completely out of the picture. Hopefully GW continues the whole lore with Vashtorr instead of just forgetting it, leaving it behind like so many other tributaries of lore. But we'll just have to wait and see.
I just want a Dark Mechanicus faction. That'd be really badass.
Hopefully that's the next in line.
Yeah. Because like Chaos in general, the new models look really badass. The Possessed, my God, those models look amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The next question comes from the Trader Guardsman 5321. Here is a question. Will the crazed Votann Ancestor Corps join Vashtorr and the creation of Chaos Votann?
So if you guys are unaware, what the heck is a Votann? They're basically these huge orbs that contain a bunch of arcane knowledge, ancient knowledge, STC knowledge of the universe, and they are essentially gods to the leagues of Votann, the kin, the squats, the space dwarves, if you will. So these guys are all about technology, super important for anybody who has a hold of them, because then they could basically learn anything. So yes, definitely this is something that I think Vashtorr will definitely be keeping his eyes open and probably try to pull some into his hold. Because just imagine the awesome machinations that can be done with a chaos-corrupted Vol.
Oh, for sure. And I think it's right up that alley of making everything good and bad. Like you have the Dark Eldar, then you have the Craft World, like Chaos and Space Marines, or Chaos and the Imperium. So now you would have the Leagues of Votann and those Chaos Squads.
Yeah, I think that's something that everybody has been wanting lately. I've always seen post people saying, we want Chaos Squads.
And it ties well with Men of Iron, too. Because if Chaos corrupts this STC, then all of a sudden, why wouldn't the STC create Men of Iron?
Exactly.
Chaos, Men of Iron. Next question.
Bichu 5382. Abaddon only being able to be permanently killed by a powerful Psyker, would the Eldar or even the Necrons use their techno sorcery to be able to stop him? What other means could be used? So, Abaddon the Despoiler, the reason why he doesn't die is because he's basically Horus version 2. And it seems that this is going to be Chaos's big bad for any and all types of campaigns moving forward. Yeah, you have the Demon Primarchs, but at the same time, GW has got this light shining on Abaddon no matter what, which is weird because he's just a regular Chaos Marine, not empowered by a god. He's not Demon Primarch. He's just a Chaos Space Marine.
Well, I think that's what makes him so special for GW, because GW, if they're in the business of making Chaos players have that thrill of like a sandboxy like element, create your own warband, you want a Chaos Undivided to be the forefront. You don't want... Because what was happening for a while, I felt like when Mortarion came back, there's a lot of emphasis placed on Plague Marines. So everybody was like, oh, cool, like Chaos means Plague Marines. And if you're a newcomer, like, remember those little boxes?
Oh, yeah.
The individual models? Whereas if GW would just focus on Undivided, then...
Everybody prospers.
Yeah,
Not
everybody.
just the Death Guard or the Thousand Suns or Angron and his World Eaters.
Yeah.
But let's completely ignore Slanesh and Fulgrim.
Right, yeah. Slanesh specifically.
Yeah, Slanesh gets no love, which is like the opposite of what should be happening.
Which is annoying because you go to Age of Sigmar and they get models.
Yes.
Which I think they can carry over, but they're
like the
demons.
Keeper of Secrets, yeah.
Does that answer his question?
I think so. Abaddon is the generic go-to.
He's an Ultramarine.
Yeah, there you go.
He's a Smurf. The next question comes from the big one. What is the best way for me to maintain my height? I don't want to end up being fun size. Women love fun size.
You can fit in their purses like chihuahuas.
Yeah, and then whenever they need a little pocket full of sunshine, they'll pull you out. Or in your case, if they ever need something big, they'll pull you out.
Yeah.
But I would say stop deadlifting. because that compresses your spine.
So alive put down is the opposite of deadlifts. We'll do that.
Yeah, or you could just hang.
Yeah, just do a pull-up, but in the hanging position.
Yep. Next one.
This one is by Octavius08. How much lore is available with the Gue'vesa? I think that this is a massive source of stories, and it's interesting to see how humanity feels within the Tau Empire, and how they really feel about the Emperor.
Well, how do you feel about it? Let us know in the comment section below.
Yeah.
But no, not that much lore.
Yeah, when it comes to the Gue'vesa, they kind of take a backseat behind the Tau, because obviously when you look at the Tau, it's all about battle suits. It's all about Shadow Sun and Farsight. And then you get to the auxiliaries, and then you get to the Gue'vesa.
And I think GW should do, if they're, well, I don't know if I was going to say if they're smart, but like who knows how they are. But like if they were to take an Imperial Guard sprue and then just throw in some Tau bits, kind of like they do with Gene Stealers, like the Gene Stealer cult, people would buy it. Like there's a reason to buy that now.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it'd be pretty cool to see like the stories of how humanity is dealing with this new Xeno race, because that's kind of how it was before the Great Crusade. Humanity was quote-unquote enslaved by the evil alien Xenos, and humanity freed them, whether they wanted it to or not. So to kind of see a retelling of those type of stories would be really cool.
Yeah. And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and listening to us. And again, thank you for the super thanks, and we'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah, as always, it's the Sound Alchemist.
Gershwan.
And we are jet lagged.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.